Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome to BEAMathon Weekend 2. This is day 3, and we are coming out with our Finding and Winning Scholarships Workshop number 3 with an amazing speaker who we'll introduce in a bit. But before we get into that, we're just going to introduce our prize opportunities. So, as usual, feel free to follow Beam Community on Instagram if you want a chance to win one of these amazing stickers. I'm not going to throw it because I know what happened last time. I had to clean so many stickers from my floor. Oh my god, wait, hold on. Oh, did I just accidentally okay, there we go. But yeah, basically, if you want a chance to win this, follow us on Instagram and then post an Instagram story about this workshop anytime before it ends and just tag us, and you never know, you could win. So honestly, just shoot your shot because you may actually auto win because there's some people who don't even enter the competition. So we'll give lots of opportunities to win some amazing stickers. So without further ado, I'm going to let our amazing speaker, Aiden, just share her screen and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And I'm definitely going to be entering to win one of those stickers because they look really awesome. So definitely going to be taking advantage of that. Let me share my screen. I think it just says that it needs to be enabled again, the screen sharing.
Oh, got it. Okay.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Let me just make this full screen. Alrighty, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So as Skylar said, my name is Aiden. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys all about scholarships. And I will dive into it a little bit later, but I am the co-founder of Access Scholarships. Will be discussed later. But yeah, today we're going to be talking all about scholarships. So super excited, very happy and excited to be here. Before I dive right into everything about scholarships and financial aid, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of info about me. So to start, I'm from New Jersey, but I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I just recently graduated back in May. While I was there, I majored in marketing and human resource management. So if you guys have any questions, totally unrelated to scholarships, but like about marketing or business and things like that, totally feel free to reach out to me about those. Now I'm the co-founder of Access Scholarships, which is a scholarship search engine and resource platform for students. My favorite social media platform these days is Instagram, but TikTok is definitely creeping up on it. It is pretty addicting sometimes for sure. But I've started making content on both Instagram and TikTok, so probably a mix of those two. And outside of when I'm working with students and helping students, a few of my hobbies and interests include I love to listen to music, I love to bake and cook, and I also enjoy running. So just a little bit about me. And I wanted to start out this workshop with a little activity. Basically, you don't need to take out a piece of paper and a pencil. You can kind of just brainstorm it in your head or just jot it down on your phone maybe or anything like that. But just take like about a minute and try and think about how you would answer this question, what makes me unique? And this could be anything from a hobby to an activity that you're interested in, something about you or your family, maybe where you're from, or just anything that comes to mind to answer this question of what makes me unique. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds to just kind of maybe let some thoughts brew in your head. And if anyone is willing to share, then I would love that. If not, I can of course share mine because I have thought about this question a lot as well. So I'll give you guys about 30 seconds. And in the meantime, I also do want to mention that if anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, whether it's on something that I'm specifically talking about or just something in general related to the topic of scholarships, feel free to either write it in the chat or just write it down, and we'll have a good Q&A session afterwards. So I definitely want to get to all of your questions. So is anyone willing to share what makes them unique? Feel free to just unmute yourself. That's totally fine. Or maybe Skylar, you want to pick someone. I don't know if we're doing hand raises or anything, but anything works for me. So
yeah, for sure. Does anyone here want to share anything? if not, I can go ahead and share as an example if anyone wants to chime
Yeah,
in. Yeah, so for
that'd
me,
be
I just
awesome.
kind of like, I would consider myself very interdisciplinary in a sense. I love merging the field of design, entrepreneurship, and technology to build communities like these, like Beam, and very passionate about connecting people who are in extremely different fields and making them find common bonds and interests through those, through common processes like the college application process and stuff like that. So yeah, it's basically kind of an interest of mine. So if anyone wants to go ahead and share, if not, we could just you just say
Yeah, no worries.
also,
Yeah.
oh,
And
there's
I
one
think
person
that's,
saying.
oh yeah, share.
Oh yeah, Selena, if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic and feel free to share.
Okay, so I'm really interested in finance and business and entrepreneurship, and I'm in like a specialized magnetic school, an academy that like helps me with finance. I don't know if that makes me special, but
No, that's definitely cool. And I mean, this question can be like interpreted. It doesn't have to be something that is like, oh, like you are the only person in the entire world that has this quality, right? Just something that you enjoy, something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about, or just something about yourself that is like innate to you, right? So I think that's a really great one. Skylar's was really great. Um, and I can also go ahead and share mine. Definitely leaning less towards like things that I'm interested in, but a few things about me. I'm left-handed, which I think like only about 8 or 10% of the population is left-handed. And I'm also a twin. So those are just kind of things like just about me that I honestly couldn't even control that I felt made me a little bit stand out from others. So with this question, thank you guys for participating. You're probably wondering like why I am asking you this in the first place. And so the reason why I kind of wanted to do this little activity was because I think that a really common misconception about applying for scholarships and just the space in general is that you need to like be in a certain socioeconomic status, have really good grades, or meet other strict requirements in order to be eligible to apply for scholarships. And while there definitely are scholarships that require you to be in a certain socioeconomic status or require you to have really great grades, that's definitely not the case for all scholarships out there. There are scholarships out there for just about everything and anything. So that's why one thing that I like to do is just kind of encourage students to think outside the box when it comes to the types of scholarships that might be out there for you guys to apply for, right? So a few examples of some scholarships that I think are pretty offbeat are the Create a Greeting Card Scholarship. That's a pretty popular one. It's for like artists and designers. I also love dogs. That would have been something else that I would have mentioned in my what makes me unique. Like I am crazily obsessed with dogs. So I would, if I was still in school, I would definitely apply for the Dog Lover Scholarship because I would have no problem writing a short essay about how dogs have impacted my life, for example. So just stuff like that. If you're into Minecraft and video games, there are scholarships out there for that, you know. So really just trying to get the point across that scholarships are not only for awarding students based on being the best athlete or an A+ student. So with that, I will dive into a little bit of I don't know why I was about to say recap, but basically an overview of ways to pay for college. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with some of these ways. Some of you may be less familiar with some of them, but I really like to display these different ways and options of paying for college through what I call an emoji hierarchy. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, we have the star emoji, which is like the best emoji in my opinion. And under there, we have scholarships and grants, great way to pay for college, federal work-study programs, and even like part-time jobs and things like that. Internships, the money earned from those is also really great because you're gaining work experience that's probably relevant towards your major, but you're also making money to put towards your education. More towards the middle end of the spectrum here, we have getting help from parents and family members, maybe even using your own income and savings. These are really common ways to pay for college or grad school, but unfortunately, no one really wants to have to use all of their own income to fund that. And then on the right-hand side here, we have loans. One of the big differentiators here is that I like to make is scholarships versus loans. And that's something that I will dive into later, but definitely make note of the fact that these are on very opposite ends of the spectrum here. So throughout the time that I've been that I have since I've created Access Scholarships and while I was in college and just getting the chance to speak to tons of students across the world, the general consensus is that cost really is one of the biggest factors in determining where students decide to go to school. And that's ultimately why I'm so happy that you guys are here to listen, to learn, ask questions, and really be proactive with the process. It shows a lot of initiative on your end. So kudos and snaps, claps to all of you. And before I dive into scholarships specifically, I do want to discuss the FAFSA, but I won't go into it too much because I know that there might be some international students here and things like that. So, but I will go into it a little bit. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. And this is really considered the most important step for US students in applying for federal grants, work study programs, and loans. And basically the main thing that I want to get across about the FAFSA is that a lot of students will come to me and they'll say, I'm not totally sure if I'm eligible to receive aid based on my family's income, my expected family contribution, all these things. Should I still be filling out the FAFSA? And the way that I always answer this question is absolutely. The form costs $0, absolutely no money to fill out. And you never know what you might be eligible to receive in the form of grants and work study program opportunities. And the FAFSA is also deals with certain loans as well, federal loans. So lots of opportunity there. And if you are based in the States, then I highly recommend that the FAFSA be your first step in the paying for college puzzle. A few quick tips and tricks on the FAFSA. Like anything with the college process, be sure to fill it out as early as possible. You want to stay organized with the process. So like when I was going through the FAFSA process, I had a Google Drive folder on my computer where I kept all of the necessary like financial forms so that everything was in one place. And lastly, studentaid.gov is the website where you fill out the FAFSA, and they're always posting like updated resources and tools and tips to help students fill out the forms easier, like in an easier way. So definitely stay updated with their website. Their announcements and events page also has awesome resources as well. So just a few things to keep in mind about the FAFSA. And now we're ready to dive into scholarships, which is what I enjoy talking about the most. It's my specialty. So let's get right in. Some of you may know the answer to this. What is a scholarship, right? But for those of you who are totally new to this and maybe just not totally sure, a scholarship is basically any payment that's made to support your education. It can be awarded on the basis of academic achievements, but as I mentioned early on in the presentation, it can be based on your interests, based on other achievements outside of academics like sports or just dedication and leadership, passion and interest in a certain area, right? So lots of other things are also involved. It's not just based on academics. And the really, really awesome thing about scholarships is that unlike loans, the money that you earn from scholarships does not ever need to be repaid. So if you win a $1,000 scholarship, that is your money to put towards your education, and you do not have to pay that back ever. There's no expectation of you ever giving that money back to anyone. On the contrary, when you do accept loans, that money eventually does need to be repaid as you have borrowed it. So you often need to repay it with interest. So scholarships are the best way to go. And that's why they were on the awesome end of my emoji hierarchy that you guys saw earlier. So these categories are definitely a bit overlapping, but I thought that it would be helpful to kind of break down the different types of scholarships into 4 categories. So the first one that I have here is private scholarships over here on the left. These are scholarships that are created and promoted by specific organizations and companies. You guys have probably heard of the more popular scholarships like the Coca-Cola scholarship, Pepsi scholarship, McDonald's, Taco Bell. Those are really, really big organizations and companies that have scholarships, but there are companies and organizations of all sizes that offer scholarship opportunities. So that's one different type there. The second type is need-based scholarships. So these are scholarships, as it says, that are just awarded on the basis of financial need. So this can definitely vary depending on the types of scholarships that you're applying for. So one scholarship may say that your family income needs to be under $50,000, but another scholarship may say that your family income needs to be under $30,000. So there definitely is a range there, but these are one type of scholarship. And then thirdly, here we have merit-based scholarships. These are probably the most common area of scholarships. They mostly take into account your academic achievements. So this can be measured by, maybe you'll have to submit your school transcript, your GPA, standardized test scores. They might even ask for a teacher recommendation or your class rank. Those are lots of components that are commonly considered when it comes to determining merit-based scholarships. And then finally, over here, we have college-specific scholarships. So once you get onto campus, or if you're already there, you may have noticed that there are a wide variety of scholarships that will be available or open for you to apply for. They can be based on your major. Maybe you're involved in some student orgs on campus that are national and they offer scholarship opportunities for students who are members, or even just other, like, let's say you relocated to a different city for school. You might even find that you're eligible to apply for local scholarships in that city, even though you haven't lived there all of your life because you are attending school there. So lots of opportunities there. And again, as I said, these 4 categories are definitely overlapping. So for example, a lot of private scholarships are based on merit, but as I also mentioned, some private scholarships may be for your interest in the arts or your love of dogs, right? So all of these different things. Now that I've kind of dove into the different categories of scholarships, there's lots of places where you guys can actually go to start searching for them. The first place, which is actually second on this list that I'm going to mention, is really taking advantage of your local community. And this is one really important part of the process that I always suggest students to take advantage of first. Maybe that means setting aside time to speak with your guidance counselor, reaching out to like local restaurants or stores or businesses and companies in your area to see if they offer scholarships, asking your parents if maybe the companies that they work for offer scholarship opportunities for their children, which would be you. The awesome thing about local scholarship opportunities is that they tend to be less competitive. So this is kind of always where I suggest students to definitely don't overlook this stage in the process. And after you've kind of gone through all of the efforts to apply for the local scholarships that are at your disposal, definitely head to Google, right? Head online. The Access Scholarships platform, I mean, I'm obviously going to shamelessly plug it, is one great place to start your search. We have almost 6,000 scholarships in our database, and I'm regularly posting scholarships. I just recently started a scholarship of the day page on my website. So I'm doing things like that. I have blog posts dedicated to scholarships for Hispanic students, scholarships for women, and so on and so forth. So definitely recommend checking that out. But other websites that I like, I think Sally Mae has a really comprehensive database as well. And I mean, you can even just head to Google and like type in scholarships for X or scholarships for Y or this type of scholarship and, you know, see what comes up. Just do a bit of searching in that sense. So many opportunities out there. So you'll really find that when you use Google, like the opportunities are endless for sure. And then finally, super important to just know where your resources are or will be for when you get onto campus. Basically, what this came in terms of for me was once I committed to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I was able to go onto their financial aid website and look at the scholarship opportunities that were offered. Call the financial aid office now because I know that things might be like it might not be easy for you to actually physically go in there, but definitely give them a call or send over an email. And eventually, when you do kind of pick your major or get into whatever school you are going to be taking the bulk of your classes in, I found it really helpful to reach out to professors and department heads in my area to say, oh, are there any scholarships that are specific for marketing students or for business students? So definitely tons of resources at your disposal there. So super important that you keep those in mind as well. So I also thought it would be helpful to kind of give you guys a little bit of insight onto hopefully creating your own like strategy when it comes to the process of searching and applying for scholarships. I'm sure, I mean, similar to the college admissions process, like there kind of is a strategy to it in terms of course, you want to be as efficient as possible. You want to save as much time as possible, and you want to earn as much money as possible. So I'm going to just give you guys a little bit of insight into my scholarship strategy when I was searching and applying for scholarships. You guys can feel free to take any parts of this and implement it into your own strategy, or just have it as knowledge. So a few things that I did when I was searching and applying for scholarships was, first, I start by setting goals for myself. So this meant really determining, number one, how much I ideally want to earn from scholarships and how much I think is realistic given the amount of time that I'm going to dedicate towards the process. So identifying how much time you want to put into it, and then supplementing that with how much you realistically and ideally want to earn. And then after that, I'm a super organized person, so it was just natural for me to create a scholarship tracker. I use this Excel sheet to keep note of the scholarships that I found, deadlines for each one, and application requirements. So that just was helpful in terms of making sure that I didn't miss out on any scholarship opportunities. I also have a link to this on the Access Scholarships website, so I can definitely send that to you guys later if that's something that you're interested in. And then just a few other quick things. Super important to remember to apply for a mix of different types of scholarships. So I'm sure that whether you guys have been applying for scholarships for a while, or maybe you're just starting to get into it, you've probably found that there are scholarships that are really competitive, get tons of applications, and maybe only give out like 1 or 2 awards. And there's scholarships that are less competitive. There's ones that are worth $20,000 and there's ones that are worth $500. There's ones that have lots of requirements and there's ones that barely have any requirements, right? So super important to just remind yourself to be applying to a mix of different types of scholarships, as this will not only like make the process a little bit more enjoyable for you because you won't be like so tired and exhausted all the time, but it does make you feel good. You know, like I sometimes will put things down on my to-do list that I know are pretty easy, and I'll check those off first before going off to the harder things. So it's all about the balance, right? And then, as I mentioned way early on in our activity, you want to be thinking outside the box in terms of the types of scholarships that might be available to you. You know, so yes, I was a marketing major, but I did not only apply for scholarships for marketing students, right? I tried to expand my horizons a bit, thinking about the things that made me unique, my interests, my leadership potentials and abilities, and the organizations that I was involved in on campus, and tried to leverage all of those things when going through the scholarship process. And lastly, super important to just really remind yourself that money earned is money earned, whether you come out of the scholarship process with $500 or $1,000, or you come out with a full ride scholarship. At the end of the day, $500 is better than $0, you know? So I know that the process can be kind of difficult sometimes, and it's definitely similar to the college process. It can take a lot out of you, but remember at the end of the day that even if you only earn $1,000, that's $1,000 more than you had yesterday, you know? So thinking about it just with a little bit of perspective. And next, I just have a few quick tips here when applying for any given scholarship. These are just a few things that I did, and these are things that I suggest that all students do when you're kind of going through the process. You'll want to start by doing research on the organization. Make sure that you are aware of all the details of the scholarship itself, what the mission of the organization is, and along with that, you're double checking to make sure that you're actually fully eligible, that you meet all of the requirements for the scholarship before you go ahead and start writing out that essay or ask your teacher for a letter of recommendation, right? So making yourself aware of all of those application requirements, making yourself aware of the deadline as well, and maybe even adding it to your scholarship tracker if that's something that you're doing. Along with letters of recommendation, as I mentioned, not all scholarships require them, but sometimes the more competitive ones will. So definitely don't wait until the last minute to ask for these letters of recommendation, because a lot of times you'll find that maybe you'll ask a teacher and they'll say, oh, when is this due? And you'll say like tomorrow, and they won't be able to do it. And then all of a sudden, all of the other effort that you put into applying for that scholarship may not even be able to come to fruition if you weren't able to get that letter of recommendation submitted, right? So wait, don't wait, ask as early as possible. And ultimately, when it comes to your application as a whole, don't forget it to edit and proofread. These are super important. Definitely not necessarily the determining factor in whether or not you win or not, but if your application is impeccable in terms of not having any typos, and it really just sounds and looks great, then that will just make you a much stronger applicant as a whole. And next, a few quick essay tips, but I also do want to mention that I have a bunch of blog posts on this on the Access Scholarships website. So these are just a few that I thought were the most important, but definitely feel free to take a look at those posts for the rest. Number one, make sure that you're fully answering all of the questions that are being asked. So similar to like your college essays, you want to answer all of the questions and not just kind of focus only on one and then kind of answer the other two or the other one like in one sentence at the end. You want to make sure that you're being comprehensive in your answers for all of the questions. And then next, super important, because the people who are reading your scholarship essays are probably reading like dozens, if not hundreds or thousands of other essays, right? So you want to make your introduction as I don't know what I was about to say, as eye-catching and compelling as possible. This is super important because it'll just make you stand out, make your essay and your application memorable, and that's really what you need when you're applying for those more competitive scholarships. And lastly, just thinking about this as a whole, I found that you really don't need to write about like the biggest event, or even just like, I think a lot of students tend to kind of focus on writing about things that are really, really sad, that have happened in their lives, but they kind of will tend to overlook mentioning how that experience has helped them grow as a person, or how uplifting it was eventually. So definitely, you don't need to write about the biggest event in your life or the saddest thing that has ever happened to you in order to have an impactful or strong essay. You can write about something that happened to you, like walking home from school one day, or maybe you were like applying for an internship and you got rejected, but it was just like a one-off thing, you know? So it doesn't need to be the biggest thing. It doesn't need to be the saddest thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't write passionately and be vulnerable about things that have happened to you in your life, but make sure that you're relating it back to the question and showing how it's helped you to grow as a person, if that's what you feel like the essay question is asking for. And with that, I do know that there were quite a few international students that had signed up for BEAMathon, so I definitely wanted to include this. I do have a few blog posts on Access Scholarships that are specifically scholarships that are open to international students, and I just made a blog post last week that is all about how to, like, the entire process basically of going to study in the US, from doing your research on the schools to applying for scholarships and applying for visas and all those things. So be sure to check out those blog posts. And make sure that you do your research on the US colleges and universities, if that's where you are intending on going. Do your research on those schools to see what types of scholarships they offer to international students. Lots of schools do have specific scholarship opportunities for international students. So if you're kind of going through the process of you want to come to the US for school, maybe try putting this information into a spreadsheet so that you can compare the different scholarship opportunities that are being offered by the schools that you're interested in, and then compare that to the net price of each school, so that you can kind of give yourself a more realistic idea of how much you'll be paying for your tuition in total. And then lastly, educationusa.state.gov is great. They have a lot of free resources and reading for international students that are looking to come to the US for school specifically. So if that's you, then I definitely recommend taking a look at that website. And now I'm not actually going to do a specific run through, but I did want to kind of touch on a few different aspects of the Access Scholarships website that I think you guys might benefit from. So the first one is the blog. I've mentioned it a few times now, but I post lots of scholarship related things there. For example, full ride scholarships, scholarships for high school juniors, scholarships for high school seniors, the list goes on and on. But I also do like posting about other things, like, as you can see here, crafting your dream career, or getting involved in extracurriculars on campus, all things like that. So the blog is the blog. And then in terms of scholarships, as I mentioned, we have our robust database where you can kind of go through, enter in some information about yourself, and receive some more personalized scholarship results. Access Scholarships, we also offer our own $1,000 scholarship. That's quarterly, so the next deadline is March 31st. It's right here under the scholarships tab, which obviously isn't dropping down right now because this is a screenshot, but it's right there under the scholarships tab. And we also have a $500 scholarship that's running at the moment with another scholarship person on Instagram, Growing with Gabby. It's a $500 scholarship opportunity. So definitely check those out under the scholarships tab. And then lastly, we have our student resources section, which has a bunch of different pages related to free resources that are available for students related to organization, to productivity, to college admissions and career prep, all things like that. So lots of opportunities there. And I definitely recommend that you guys check it out. So with that, just a few quick highlights here. Definitely important to have a plan for paying for college, and be sure to talk about it with all of the people who are relevant in that journey. So for me, that meant sitting down with my parents and kind of talking about our finances, about my goals, where I thought I would fit best in terms of programs at certain schools. So having those conversations as early as possible is really, it'll just only benefit you. And once you've kind of had that conversation, then you can go into developing a scholarship strategy that works for you. So I had gone through my scholarship strategy. You can, of course, take any aspect of that and kind of incorporate it into your own. I will be sending you guys a link to the scholarship tracker Excel sheet if you're interested later. And then once you set some goals for yourself, whether it's with applying for scholarships or just applying for school in general, really try your hardest to stick to them, because you'll find at the end, like as I said, that money earned is money earned, whether it's $500 or $1,000 or $1,500. You know, it's all important. And like with $1,500, you could put that towards buying a new computer, or you could put that towards textbooks for like lots of semesters, right? So lots of opportunities out there. And I know that the process can be daunting. It's definitely not a glamorous process like the college admissions process. I know that it can be stressful sometimes, and it can feel a little bit like you're applying for lots of opportunities, but maybe you're not hearing back from a lot of them. And unfortunately, with applying for scholarships that are very competitive, that's kind of how it's going to go. But ultimately, that's why it's so important to have a strategy, and applying for scholarships that are local and mixing that up with scholarships that are national, all to just give you the best opportunity for success. So with that, if you guys are interested in learning more about scholarships, about paying for college life in general, here are a few ways that you can reach me via email. I also have free office hour sessions every Friday, so you can set up a problem also. And then with that, I